She left me for some rich guy when I was really struggling with poverty. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. My heart just broke. But then I received a message on my phone that 1 million win had been sent to my account. I thought it was some kind of scam. These days, so many scams were going around. I didn't trust it, but when I checked my bank account, there really was 1 million won in it. Seeing this, I realized it was a chance to change my life. I immediately ran to a shop where I could appraise my wealth. The receptionist there didn't look at me well. She treated me like a beggar. But then I saw a beautiful girl I knew, and I called out to her. Still, the receptionist saw me as a beggar and told me to leave. That girl defended me, asking if customers were treated like this. Then I told her that I wasn't a beggar, that I was very wealthy, and I wanted to buy every single set in the store. Hearing this, the receptionist got even more arrogant and called me a beggar again. She said that if I really paid for all the items, she would quit her job. So I said, fine, let's make it a challenge. And when the bill came to 600,000 yen, I actually paid the entire amount in one go. Seeing this, the receptionist and everyone there were left in shock. She collapsed to the floor, and she started begging me for forgiveness. When the store manager arrived, he asked what the situation was. The girl I knew explained everything, that the receptionist had challenged me, saying if I paid for all the items, she would quit her job. At that, the store manager slapped the receptionist right in front of me and fired her on the spot. Then he knelt on the floor, gave me a free 1-year VIP membership to the place. I went outside and talked to my friend, who was my classmate. She talked about keeping a good relationship with me. I had bought all these gifts just so I could give them to her, but she refused. Meanwhile, the system also announced that I had spent 600,000 won, and in return, I was getting 10 times the reward. I had a lot of money in my account, so I told that girl that if she wouldn't take the gift, at least she could go for a lunch with her classmate. This girl's name was Sue, and she came with me to the restaurant. We were about to sit down and eat when suddenly my ex-girlfriend and her boyfriend, Zhao, appeared there. Zhao looked down on me because he thought I was poor, and the moment he saw me with such a beautiful girl, he became jealous. He immediately called the receptionist over and said, "Having beggars like them here is ruining my appetite, so throw them out of this restaurant." Hearing this, the receptionist was about to do exactly that. My friend Sue started defending me and said, "How can you throw him out of here? He came here to eat, and everyone deserves to be treated equally." But the receptionist said that Mr. Zhu was a Gold Card member, so listening to his orders was extremely important. But then I stepped in and said, "Mr. Zhao, let's talk for a moment. The lipstick mark on your collar, let's discuss it. My ex-girlfriend wears a shade called Red Lotus, but the mark on your collar is pink lipstick. That means this lipstick belongs to someone else, and you're cheating on her." Hearing this, my ex-girlfriend got furious and asked, "Are you cheating on me?" I called my ex over and I told her about her ring, saying, "Look, a real diamond ring emits 7 colors and it sparkles a lot, but your ring's diamond looks very fake." Hearing this, my ex got furious, threw the ring at Zhao, and said, "You ended my relationship with my boyfriend just by giving me this fake ring." They started fighting, but then I got angry and said, "Seeing both of you fight has ruined my mood. I'm paying for everyone's meal here, and I'm also leaving a tip, but remember, you need to get these two out of my sight right now, or I will get even angrier and I will leave." Hearing this, the manager immediately threw them both out, and I finally felt at peace. I came outside with Sue, but she told me that she was really surprised by what I had done inside. "But you've made the Zhao family your enemy now, so be careful." But just then, Sue got a call from the hospital, and she started crying. I asked her what happened, and she told me that she had operated on a patient, but the patient died. Now the family wants to sue her. Sue wanted to leave right away, but I told her to wait. I said I would go with her. When Sue reached the community hall, the managing director was already extremely angry. But then I stepped in and said, "I think, Mr. Zhang, you're working with the Zhao family, and they were the ones who instructed you to get Sue removed from here." Hearing this, Mr. Zhang got really furious. But then I played a recording on the screen of their conversation, where the head of the Zhao family, Mr. Zhang, was saying that if they switched the patient's meds and the patient died, all the blame would fall on Sue, and she would be fired. And if he did this, he would make Mr. Zhang the CEO of the company next year. At that, the patient's son became extremely furious and started attacking Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang began apologizing, but nothing could be done anymore. He had to go to jail. Just then, warning alarms started going off from the operating room. The patient's condition was getting worse. When Sue reached the patient's room, the patient had already died. Everyone went into a panic, but then the system informed me that I had obtained a new technique that I could use right now. I immediately told Sue, "Go bring me acupuncture needles right now." The doctor shouted at me, asking who I was and what I was doing there. But I looked at Sue and said, "Trust me just this once." Sue decided to believe me. The needles finally arrived, and without wasting a second, I inserted them into the old man's body at the death point, revival point, and resurrection point. For a few moments, nothing happened. Everyone in the room became nervous. But then, suddenly, lines started appearing on the monitor. The old man's fingers twitched, and moments later, he slowly opened his eyes and asked for water. Sue instantly hugged me in excitement and started thanking me over and over again. I carefully removed the needles from the old man's body. The old man looked at both of us with gratitude and revealed that he was not an ordinary person at all. He was actually one of the biggest businessmen in the entire city. While unconscious, he had apparently heard everything happening around him. After hearing the conversations and seeing what I did for him, he felt deeply indebted to me. He pulled out a jade ring from beneath his pillow and handed it to me. "This is the symbol of the Chin family," he said. "No matter where you go or what kind of trouble you face, show this ring and people will respect you." I hesitated and tried to refuse, but the old man insisted. "Keep it as a memory of me," he said warmly, "and promise me you'll come visit me often." Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Zhao was furious after being humiliated at the hotel. In anger, he hired people from the black market to kill me. At the same time, Sue was extremely worried because she had offended the Zhao family. After creating such a huge scene, she knew her own family would probably not allow her back home tonight. So I offered her a place to stay. "Why don't you stay at my house?" I asked. "There are plenty of rooms there. You can use whichever one you want." Sue blushed immediately. "Fine, I'll come with you," she said shyly. "But if you try anything weird, remember that I know karate." I laughed lightly and replied, "Trust me, I'm not thinking about anything like that." I helped her into my car and started driving. While we were on the road, the system suddenly notified me that a dangerous entity was approaching. I instantly realized someone was following us. The moment I looked behind, a car slammed into us. Several thugs stepped out and threatened to kill me. Sue became terrified because she had no idea who these people were. But at that moment, I made up my mind that I would destroy them all. The system offered me the option to enter God mode for 200 points. I accepted immediately. "Fasten your seatbelt tightly," I told Sue. I slammed my foot on the accelerator. 3 cars moved ahead and blocked the road, but I sharply drifted to the side and forced my way through. One of the enemy cars crashed and exploded behind us. Sue stared at me in complete disbelief. "Are you really a normal driver?" she asked, "or some kind of professional racer?" A few moments later, we finally arrived outside my mansion. I parked the car, but the moment we stepped out, I suddenly saw my ex standing there. She looked completely shocked after seeing me. It was obvious she thought I had come back begging for her attention. "Lynn, what are you doing here?" she asked arrogantly. "Were you following me?" I calmly replied, "No, I'm going inside." Since she still believed I was a poor beggar, she started mocking me. "Someone like you could never enter this place," she sneered. "You probably can't even afford to book a bathroom here. Maybe you came here looking for a security guard job because you've already lost everything." Then she glanced at Sue and smirked. "And this girl with you must be here to apply as a maid." She tossed me her car keys arrogantly. "Lin Xiao, go clean my car while I meet Mr. Zhao. He's my future husband, and I can't leave him waiting." At that exact moment, the mansion scanner scanned my eyes and instantly opened the gates while welcoming me as the owner. The moment my ex saw that happen, her face turned pale with shock. She finally realized that I was unbelievably rich. The next second, she dropped to her knees and begged me to take her back, but I was already disgusted by her behavior. I immediately called security. "Get her away from me," I ordered coldly. "If she comes within 1 meter of me again, I'll call the police." She kept screaming, but I removed her from my life completely. After entering the mansion, Sue looked around in total shock. "Is this place rented?" she asked carefully. "Or did you actually buy it?" "I won it in a lottery," I replied casually. She still looked suspicious, worried that I might be involved in something illegal, but I assured her that everything was fine. At that moment, the system sent me another notification. New quest triggered. Make Sue Chin a permanent resident of this mansion. Reward, $1 billion. The system seriously knew exactly what I wanted. I then showed Sue the luxurious bathroom and the giant bathtub. "You should go take a bath and relax," I told her. She nodded and walked inside. While soaking in the bathtub, Sue couldn't stop thinking about me. In her mind, I had become unbelievably cool, and her feelings for me kept growing stronger. The system notified me once again that the heroine had officially fallen in love. But suddenly the lights went out. Sue panicked when the bathroom door got locked and refused to open. She immediately called out for me. I rushed toward the bathroom and shouted, "Don't worry, I'm going to break the door." Sue quickly protested. "Wait, this door is really expensive." But to me, people mattered more than money. So with a single powerful kick, I smashed the door open. I entered with a flashlight, but Sue immediately covered herself and shouted, "Turn around. I'll come out by myself, so please leave." I ignored her completely because the room was freezing cold. Without hesitation, I picked her up in my arms. The moment I did that, the system rewarded me with a god-level cooking skill. The next morning, I prepared an enormous breakfast. When Sue saw the table filled with delicious food, she could hardly believe I had cooked everything myself. While she was eating, I told her, "I need to go somewhere." "Where?" she asked curiously. "To the Zhao Company," I replied calmly. "There are a few matters I need to handle." At the same time, a meeting was taking place inside the Zhao Corporation. After threatening Su Qin, Mr. Zhao proudly declared that within 3 days, she would transfer the hospital patents to their company, causing Zhao Corporation's stocks to skyrocket. However, one of the board members nervously warned him. "Old Master Qin woke up yesterday," he said carefully. "I don't think he'll surrender so easily anymore. He'll definitely support that boy Lin." Zhao smirked coldly. "Don't worry," he replied. "Last night, I already had Lin thrown into the Hanbu River." But before he could continue speaking, the meeting room doors exploded open as security guards crashed onto the floor. I had arrived. The moment Zhao saw me standing there alive, terror instantly appeared on his face. "How are you still alive?" he shouted. "Where are the killers I sent after you?" I smiled coldly. "They're currently confessing everything at the police station," I replied. "And trust me, prison food isn't very good. You'll be finding that out soon enough." At that moment, one of the old executives angrily pointed at me. "This is Zhao Corporation," he yelled. "You can't act like some king here." I simply turned toward the company secretary and calmly said, "Why don't you tell him who the real owner of this company actually is?" The secretary calmly announced that earlier that morning, Mr. Lin had officially purchased 51% of the company's shares and had now become the new owner of Zhao Corporation. The entire meeting room fell silent. One of the elderly shareholders immediately turned toward Ling and Wang and shouted angrily, "Why would you sell your shares? How could you possibly do something like this?" Ling sighed helplessly and replied, "Mr. Lin's offer was simply too good to refuse." Wang nodded as well. "Besides," he added coldly, "your son almost destroyed the company. Zhao Corporation's stock prices have been crashing nonstop. I didn't really have any other choice." Hearing all of this completely shattered Zhao's mind. He started screaming like a madman, completely losing control. Meanwhile, I calmly sat down in the chairman's seat like the true owner of the company. My very first order shocked everyone. "Remove Zhao and his entire family from the corporation immediately," I declared. "Expose every illegal thing they've done and hand Zhao over to the police." Zhao completely snapped. In pure rage, he grabbed a knife and started charging around wildly. Everyone in the room panicked in fear. But before he could do anything, I struck his wrist hard and knocked the knife onto the floor. Then I delivered a powerful kick directly to his face, sending him crashing onto the ground. I stepped on his face and coldly whispered, "That was for what you did to Sue." At that exact moment, the police arrived and dragged Zhao away. When I walked outside the building, countless reporters were already waiting for me. Cameras flashed non-stop while reporters shouted questions. "How did you acquire Zhao Corporation? What are your future plans? What's your next move?" I ignored every single one of them and quietly entered my car. But once I checked my phone, something strange happened. The normal system interface was gone. Only a strange symbol remained on the screen. Then the system notified me, "Congratulations, you have cleared the first stage. From this point onward, you can no longer leave the system. An administrator is now watching you." I couldn't believe it. Was someone actually controlling the system from behind the scenes? As the car continued moving, I suddenly received another mission. New mission, become a trillionaire. Objective, attend the Jiangnian Business Summit and identify a commercial spy. Failure penalty, loss of all 5 senses. My expression immediately turned serious. Later, Sue and I arrived together at the Jiangnian Business Summit. The place was filled with incredibly rich and powerful people, making Sue visibly nervous. "There are so many important people here," she whispered anxiously. I smiled softly and replied, To me, the most precious person here is you. At that moment, my ex saw us together from a distance. The scene shocked her so badly that the wine glass in her hand slipped and shattered on the floor. An old man nearby instantly yelled at her. "That wine was extremely expensive. How dare you waste it like that?" She immediately crouched down and started cleaning the mess while trying not to cry. For a brief moment, I actually felt a little sympathy for her. Meanwhile, Sue was talking with another rich girl who clearly wanted to humiliate her over the recent hospital incident. However, Sue calmly responded with such elegance and manners that the girl ended up embarrassing herself instead. Furious, the girl suddenly threw her wine directly onto Sue's dress. At the same time, my system sent another notification. Target identified nearby. Use level 1 mind reading. Find the commercial spy within 10 minutes. I instantly activated mind reading and started hearing the thoughts of everyone around me. Some people were thinking about business deals. Others were gossiping. Then suddenly I heard Sue's voice nearby. Someone was loudly accusing her of spilling wine intentionally. Sue defended herself calmly. "There are cameras here," she said firmly. "You can check them. You're the one who did this, not me." The rich girl became furious and raised her hand to slap Sue. But before she could touch her, I rushed forward and grabbed her wrist. Standing nearby was the commercial spy disguised as a waiter. Inside his mind, I heard him thinking, "Perfect. Everyone's distracted now. This is my chance to steal the secret documents." Meanwhile, the arrogant girl yanked her hand away from me and shouted angrily, "Just because you acquired Zhao Corporation doesn't mean you should think you're some untouchable billionaire." I looked at her calmly. "I know exactly who you are," I replied. "Miss Louis from the Louis family." Then I turned toward my secretary and casually asked about the Louis family stocks. The secretary immediately answered, "Their stock prices are collapsing rapidly. They're currently in desperate need of cash." I smirked slightly and looked back at Miss Louis. "In that case," I said coldly, "I won't be helping your family anymore. Go deliver that message personally." She became furious and pointed at Sue. "She ruined my shoes." I glanced at the shoes casually. "How much are they worth?" Before she could answer, I wrote a check for 100,000 yen and slapped it directly against her chest. "Go buy yourself new shoes," I said coldly, "and maybe fix your attitude while you're at it." Completely humiliated, Miss Louis ran away in anger. Meanwhile, the spy, disguised as a waiter, quietly moved toward the restricted area to steal the documents. I told Sue to stay where she was and secretly followed him. The waiter stopped outside a guarded room and pulled out weapons, preparing to kill the guards protecting the area. But before he could act, I stepped out from the shadows. "Looks like you walked into the wrong place," I said calmly. The spy instantly pulled out a knife and attacked me. But after entering combat, I easily overpowered him and pinned him to the ground. "I already know who sent you," I whispered coldly. I dragged the spy into the room where Mr. Boo was waiting. Mr. Boo was the head of the Boo family, and inside that room were blueprints for a newly developed weapon. I informed him immediately. "This man came here to steal your blueprints." Mr. Boo instantly became indebted to me. But strangely, the captured spy suddenly laughed and looked at me strangely. "You may have caught me," he said quietly, "but you've already lost." At that moment, the system rewarded me for strengthening my relationship with Mr. Boo. Feeling relieved, I stepped onto the balcony for fresh air. A few moments later, Sue walked over and hugged me from behind. "My feelings for you are becoming real," she whispered softly. But right then, my phone suddenly received a message from Administrator X. Apparently, he found the ending of my mission too boring. As punishment, he instantly stripped away all 5 of my senses. That was when I finally realized something terrifying. The administrator and the system were 2 completely different entities, yet both of them had control over my life. I became furious. I couldn't even feel Sue's hug anymore. In frustration, I pushed her away from me. Sue's eyes instantly filled with tears. But I coldly turned away and said, "Stay away from me for now." I was about to leave in the car with Sue when Administrator X suddenly appeared in front of everyone. He introduced himself and announced that to make this world even more exciting, everyone would now have to participate in his game. And the first player was me. Because of this game, he said, I had become rich and gained everything I ever wanted. But then he gave me a new challenge. I had to choose 1 out of 3 things: my luxurious villa, my company, or my ex-girlfriend, who was currently at a restaurant. He would destroy 2 of them, and only 1 would remain. He wanted to know which one I would choose. That was the game. I instantly became cautious and told Sue to get out of the car. At the same time, the system gave me 3 forced quests. If I chose my villa, I would receive a map as a reward. If I chose my company, I would gain even more money. but my humanity points would decrease. And if I went to save my ex at the restaurant, my humanity would increase by 100 points. I had already decided that I would never lose my humanity, so I immediately headed toward the restaurant. Sue also arrived there shortly after. I told her to stay outside and call the police while I went inside. My ex was tied to a chair with a bomb strapped to her body. The moment she saw me, she couldn't believe I had actually come for her. There were only 3 minutes left before the bomb exploded. I was panicking, and even my ex told me to carefully cut the correct wire. I suddenly got an idea. I asked the system to activate Truth Eye. The system immediately activated it, but it also warned me that once the skill deactivated, I would pass out. Using Truth Eye, I examined the wires and cut one of them, but instead of stopping the bomb, the timer suddenly sped up. Seeing that, my ex completely lost control and started screaming that I was trying to kill her. I told her to calm down. Only 10 seconds remained. Then a voice echoed from above. It was X. Do you really want to save the ex who betrayed you? Hearing that, I shouted back, my fate is in my own hands. I'll decide what I want to do. Then I shoved the cutter directly into the bomb itself, causing it to malfunction and completely shut down. My ex had gone completely insane at that point. She was laughing and crying at the same time. But in the end, I saved her. She suddenly said that I still loved her and that we should get married. But the truth was, the bomb had been fake all along. Administrator X was completely insane. An ambulance soon arrived and took my ex away. But then Sue ran toward me and immediately slapped me before breaking down in tears. She yelled that there had been a bomb inside and that I could have died. She hugged me tightly while crying uncontrollably. At that exact moment, the system removed my restrictions. My senses returned, and as a reward, Sue's affection toward me increased. I could now truly feel her sadness and love. And for the first time, I started crying too. I promised her that I would never gamble with my life again. Sue finally calmed down, and the feelings between us grew even stronger. But on the other side, my ex became furious because she had now started falling in love with me again. The next day, I was sitting in my office working when my secretary suddenly rushed in and informed me that the moment the market opened, all our retail shares were being sold off. Our stock prices were crashing rapidly. I ordered her to find out who was behind it. She replied that the Jingnan Business Alliance was responsible. I couldn't understand what was happening. Then the system explained everything to me. Administrator X had leaked all the details about the energy blueprint I had saved, and now I had become the biggest target in the world. I finally realized how terrifying X truly was. This entire situation had been part of his plan from the very beginning. The collapse of my company's shares had officially begun. The head of the Ling family personally called me and demanded that I transfer all the company's shares to their name if I wanted the company to survive. Meanwhile, investors everywhere were dumping my company's stock. One of my employees rushed in panic and told me that if we wanted to buy back the shares and stabilize the market, we would need 50 billion yuan immediately. I calmly replied, "Don't worry, this isn't a disaster, it's an opportunity." I ordered the system to gather every reserve fund and every reward I had accumulated so far. Together, they totaled exactly 50 billion yuan. Hesitated for a moment, but then I ordered all the money to be transferred. A short while later, the data center suddenly lost power. One of the staff members informed me that a spy named Jiantian had stolen all our data and was about to sell it. If the data center remained offline for even 1 minute, we would be completely ruined. Everyone was panicking, but I quietly entered another room and requested the system to grant me access to the quantum terminal. It was an ultra-high-speed network capable of buying and selling massive amounts of stock within microseconds. In exchange, I had to sacrifice 1,000 system points. The moment I connected to the quantum terminal, the fastest network in the world, I immediately started dumping Jiangnan Commerce stocks, called the program Reverse Snipe. At the same time, the head of the Louis family was watching the stock market in confusion when one of his employees suddenly shouted that my company's stock prices were skyrocketing. Somehow, their own company shares were crashing instead. Thousands of trades were happening every second. Nobody understood what was going on. Old Louis completely lost his mind and screamed for them to unplug the data center. But it was already too late. My company was now safe, and I ordered a lawsuit against the traitor Jiantian. Meanwhile, old Louis watched helplessly as his stock prices collapsed while banks demanded immediate repayment of their debts. Desperate, old Louis finally made a decision. He ordered the Black Snake Gang to kidnap Sue and bring her onto a ship. At the same time, Sue was on her way to meet me with her bodyguards, but the Black Snake Gang ambushed them in the parking lot, defeated the bodyguards, and kidnapped her. The instant it happened, my heartbeat suddenly accelerated. I didn't understand why, until the system informed me that Sue was being taken far away toward a ship. I immediately realized something was wrong. Then my phone rang. It was old Louis. He threatened to kill Sue and ordered me to come to the ship alone. If I tried bringing anyone with me, he would cut off Sue's fingers one by one. Without hesitation, I ordered the system to convert all my remaining points into combat skills. The system granted me a new fighting technique called nuclear bomb. I jumped into my car and drove like a madman. The system warned me to slow down, but I ignored it completely. Within just 5 minutes, I reached the ship. Su was tied up inside. I demanded that the old man release her, but instead he placed a 10 million bounty on my head and ordered his men to kill me. They all attacked at once, but I defeated every single one of them. Their attacks weren't dangerous enough to stop me anymore. Then the old man suddenly pointed a gun at me and said, "You won't escape this." But I simply took a coin into my hand, flipped it into the air, and knocked the gun right out of his hand.